got some extra, we've got this chair here. If someone needs this chair, that chair, and that chair, and one up front, and one there. Okay. So if we have more people come in. That was great, y'all. That was great. Did y'all learn something that you didn't know? Yeah. Okay, so we're going to get started with questions and allowing them to answer these questions and debate each other on these questions. I do want to say when you ask a question, please be concise. I don't need to hear your life story before the question or any of that. Just ask the question, okay? Because we could be here all night listening to your life. All right.
Andy, is there time for rebuttal?
Yes, they're going to have 2 minutes to answer the questions. So. Can someone walk around and hand the mic? Okay, let's start with the floor. Does anybody want to stand and ask a question?
I almost fell in John's lap.
I'm Julie Hershey, and I'm in the Ware Place precinct. And Chris had mentioned that he will join the Freedom Caucus if elected. So my question to the other three, will you join the Freedom Caucus if you are elected? Why or why not?
I'll be happy to take that one. I think it'd be good to hear it from everybody.
Well, first of all, as far as caucusing, my caucusing is with you, the voter. Because when I'm elected, it's that the representative has to be the voice of the people. And the reason that I say that is because I don't think the citizens of this state are served when individuals go up there and when they don't like something, they push it back from the table, they take their ball and go home. Who loses in that situation are the taxpayers, the voters, and our citizens. And we have to work together to address the issues facing our state today. Because I will tell you, it's not going to change. Every time our businesses or our downtown is listed as the best place to live in America, this growth is going to continue. And if we don't take an active role, we are all going to lose.
So my answer to that question is maybe. And that's what I wrote on the paper. And the reason that I say maybe is this. To Carrie's point, if a candidate came to me and said, I'm joining this caucus, I want to be on this committee, and I'm going to do this, I would say, no, you're not. So I think first we have to hear from you guys. We have to hear from you as constituents as far as what you want from us, because we are your representatives. We shouldn't be telling you what we're going to do. You're telling us what we want to do, what you want us to do, because we work for you. That's the way it goes. Or at least that's the way it's supposed to go. It's not necessarily the way it goes today. But realistically, that's the way it should go. Now, to answer your question as far as would I vote with the Freedom Caucus today, I would tell you on every single subject today, I would vote exactly how the Freedom Caucus is voting. But I'm in this to hear from you guys what you want, not to tell you what I'm going to do. I don't think that's fair to you as the people that I want to represent, because again, I would represent you. You're the people that are the bosses. That's your job to tell us.
To answer your question, I don't know. When I get down there, I want to see which caucus actually has the best represented, as Carrie said. Who has our best interests at heart in Columbia? From what I've seen of the Freedom Caucus, They like to push policy on budget week, and that's the only time. They might put amendments during out the year, but they're never heard primarily because they're the Freedom Caucus. I was speaking earlier because of the bad relationships that they have. You can't make policy changes during budget week. Representative Page was asked this year, did any of his caucus members attend any kind of subcommittee or any kind of committee chairman to express their caucus's concerns? And his answer was no. So what kind of caucus wants to just have kind of a media agenda on budget week? How do you run an effective caucus like that? You have to have a relationships with committee chairmen and go to them and express their concerns for your constituents, not some kind of showboat on the House floor. I'm a conservative, and we need a conservative leader that actually knows how to do the process of law and order in the State House. So when I get down there behind closed doors, I'll actually want to see when the cameras are gone and there's no one recording. I want to see who actually has the best interests as us South Carolinians. Making policy changes on budget week is not how we change law in this state. Thank you.
Nancy, could Chris have a reply as to why he would?
I feel like I got my 2 minutes too.
Sure, yeah.
I got my 2 minutes too. I've had the distinct privilege and honor of being able to meet quite a few of these Freedom Caucus folks that have been maybe even named while we've been up here. And I'll tell you, every one of them that I've met have had a deep, sincere care about the people in their district, as well as a deep, sincere relationship with their Lord, as well as a deep concern for their state. And when they caucus together so that they can support and encourage one another in the things that you all hold dear. They're not being given a voice right now because they're standing against the tyranny that's been down there in the swamp with the good old boy system for far too long. They won't let them bring an amendment, but they'll let the Democrats have just as many amendments to the bills as the Republican supermajority right now. Why? Because they don't like the conservative revival and the conservative resurgence that's happening in the name of the Freedom Caucus. The Republican caucus does not like the good things that are happening because of the strong stance and the fight that the Freedom Caucus is doing on your behalf. And I'll tell you this, I'll go down there and fight with Ashley Trantham or RJ May or Pace or Adam or any of these other folks that you're seeing that are part of that caucus any day of the week. And I'll do it because I know they're men of integrity, women of integrity, and they are absolutely listening to what you care about. And that's why they're fighting so hard for the things that they fight for. And that's what I plan to do as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're here for.
So Chris, I want to ask you this question though. The issue that I have is the Freedom Caucus doesn't have a voice right now. They've been boxed out by the so-called Republicans. Would you say that what really needs to happen to keep our conservative values truly alive, truly thriving, is you got to pull some people along with you? You've got to build. Hold on, let me finish.
I wonder do we have a time limit on how this is going to go? Because you're asking me at 3 minutes.
I got 2 minutes. So don't we have to build that caucus? Don't we have to increase that caucus to actually be able to get stuff done?
Yeah.
To actually be able to get, I mean, look, we just debated on the floor of the House this year, should children have access to pornography? What a waste of our taxpayer dollars. That should have never happened, number one. But shouldn't a caucus as strong as the Freedom Caucus be pulling people in that actually takes us from the bottom of the pile in our country as far as a conservative legislature and elevates us to what we all deserve here in South Carolina?
And
answer yours.
I
Do you want
don't-
to answer multiple at a time or one at a time? How do you
Well,
want
I just want to do a rebuttal to what was said. First of all, we're talking about a Freedom Caucus that voted against the budget that included a tax cut for all of you. They voted against teacher pay. They voted against pay increases for EMTs and police officers. Tell me how that voting record served any of us.
They voted.
They voted against a budget that wasn't thoroughly analyzed, as I spoke of during my opening. A budget that wasn't scrutinized, analyzed, where accountability and responsibility was not at play. They voted against a budget that didn't go through a proper budgetary process that needs to be gone through every year. And I'm going to get in the weeds a little bit here, but the greatest way to do a budget is you start at a zero base. All right, for some of you that know, you start at zero. You don't start at the top. You start at zero and you work your way up and you say, okay, what all happened and what all was good? All right, but let me answer his question. Yes, I believe you absolutely bring people along. I believe you absolutely build it up. And I believe that's why right now there were 17 people that voted most of the year with the Freedom Caucus. Is that correct? Can we all agree with that? And right now we're looking at 35 people right now who have committed across the state, if elected, to agree and caucus with the Freedom Caucus. 35. That's a pretty big change, and that's a lot of people coming along.
Mr. Huff makes a good point. I don't hate the Freedom Caucus. I actually admire Representative May. I wish he had came today because he proposed a bill 3 years ago that would create an evaluation act on our corporate welfare, you say, and we'll talk more about that later because there's interesting data there. When we invest into businesses to come to this state, we need to know that our investment is actually getting our return. Representative May 3 years ago proposed legislation that would actually create an evaluation committee to make sure we're getting our money's worth. But that has since been put on the shelf, moved another day because of the relationship they have. And you say accountability, it's not accountable when you call other members of the House, other Republicans, socialists, you call them all kind of name in the book, anti-American. How are you going to bring people to the conservative side that way by name calling other Republicans?
All right, who's next with a, we'll move on to another question?
Yes, I'm going to take a question from a card now. Anonymous question. This question is, and it can be for anybody that wants to answer or all of them, please address the $1.8 billion mystery money in Colombia. Have y'all heard about that? Who wants their money back?
Can I start with that one? I'll stand for this one too. First of all, running a financial institution of several $100 million, I can tell you we know exactly where every dollar comes from and where every dollar goes or is supposed to go. And I think the prudent thing to do is to do that, to do a forensic audit and make sure we know where that money came from and where it is supposed to go. But if it is not designated somewhere, it should go back to the people that it came from, the taxpayers. And that is one of the things I've examined credit unions, I have ran boards. I can tell you that not knowing where your money's coming from and where it's supposed to go is a problem, and we do need to address that in our state.
I don't know about any of you, but I would sure love to find $1.8 billion in my bank account. I think even more concerning, though, is not only just the $1.8 billion, but that money also made $250 million. Then that $250 million has somehow been spent. So you spent $250 million from $1.8 billion that you didn't know you had, yet you spent it. Okay, so our roads haven't been taken care of with all the tax money we've been paying since I believe like 2017. But we've got $1.8 billion sitting there. This money is our money, and it should be dispersed right back to every single taxpayer that it's owed to.
Where did it come from, I guess, is everybody's asking. How did it, who discovered it? We've actually already paid that money, which, if I can do the math off the top of my head, it's probably less than $105 to $190 per taxpayer. We have an issue with police at county level around here. Southern Greenville County, for example, only has 2 sheriff's deputies down here in the lower part of the state. Local county law enforcement competes with state law enforcement because 2 years ago, or last year, our state assembly voted to increase the pay for state troopers. So not only is the county competing against state, they're competing against towns and municipalities. I would like to put those funds to paying for more sheriff's deputies around here. We've already paid the taxes, why not just have the security, especially in Southern Greenville County around Princeton area? Well, criminals can hopscotch multiple counties. Thank you.
I don't think this is a real hard one for anybody in the room to be appalled. I think we all are really upset that there's money like that that's sitting down there, and folks that we've elected and asked to be the caretakers of such are not taken care. And so I come back to the same 2 words. I think accountability and responsibility are missing. And I believe those same 2 words are the answer. And I believe those are the words that you guys should be requiring. And when we go there, we should be requiring of the folks that are there. There should be accountability and responsibility in the budgeting process. When you start at 0 and you work your way up, you find these things. And you can figure out where they came from. When you don't start at 0, then all of a sudden, there's this little thing that was sitting out there in a fund somewhere and nobody knows where it came from because we didn't add it all up. All right?